In today's video, what we're going to be discussing is chipping and pitching, but off very tight lies around the green. Make sure you check out this video. So set the wrists, turn the body. Welcome back to the TruGolf Academy. You've joined me, Jon Watts, today at my short game area, and today's video, as I mentioned there in the intro, is all going to be about chipping and pitching, but off very tight lies, and that's the reason I'm actually standing on my artificial green here. It was just the tightest lie I could find, where with my GoPro camera, you will see if I address that club to the golf ball there, that I can't really, that ball is sitting very low down, and if I actually have the club angled as normal, almost the leading edge is going to be slightly off the floor level. So the shot golfers are worried about doing here is generally thinning it. They're worried about hitting out of the bottom of the golf club and the ball going far too far. So we're going to be discussing ways you can adapt your chipping and pitching method to actually improve your quality of contact when you do get that firm lie. So generally, obviously in the summer months, or perhaps just some harder tight lies, that you could get it in the winter where it's an area that all the golfers have taken their trolleys, for instance, and you're starting to get that harder lie, or if you're brave enough like a Phil Mickelson to start playing them off cart paths, this sort of situation is really going to help you. If you're new to my channel and you haven't already, please do consider subscribing. If you hit the little bell icon, it just notifies you every time a new video goes live, at least 2 instructional videos a week. And if you do enjoy the content, if you find this helpful, hit the thumbs up and share it with as many golfers as you can. So chipping or pitching, for me, a chip and run is where I'm really trying to guarantee strike with the ball a little bit further back in my stance, my hand a little bit more forwards, definitely more pressure onto my left side. And I'm de-lofting the golf club, but I'm just trying to guarantee strike off any lie. And therefore it works brilliantly, even from these hard lies. So with my chipping method of getting my sternum about a club head's width, 3 inches or so ahead of the golf ball, pressure onto my lead side, hand a little bit as forwards, I can strike that ball, whether it's a good lie, a sandy lie, a hard lie, it doesn't matter. We're guaranteeing strike in that position. But we can't always chip because the chip's going to be that lower flight. It's only ever flying about 10 yards. You know, I will demonstrate just a quick chip and run. So I'm in a setup position where I'm trying to effectively take some loft off the golf club and some bounce off the club. And that makes it, for me, easier to get that contact, that strike location, but I can only hit at a certain distance. Pitching for me is where we're looking at more time in the air, a little bit more elevation, having to stop the ball a little bit quicker. So if I need to fly the ball more than 10 yards or stop the ball quicker than probably 50-50 in terms of air and roll time, then we are pitching. We're trying to hit that ball more up in the air. And if the lie was good enough, if there was grass underneath the ball, I would encourage you to actually use the bounce of the golf club. And we do that by moving the ball forwards in our stance. This is a regular pitch shot. Ball forwards in our stance. Sternum's over the ball. My hands are back more level with the club, so the end of the grip about belly button. And from there, I'm really able to then, nice wide swing and use the bounce of the golf club. Using the bounce of the golf club just means it's this low point here, the middle to trail edge of the wedge is actually going to be contacting the ground first rather than the leading edge going in forwards. But if I'm doing that on this hard, tight lie, and I'll just demonstrate one, I'm likely to be catching the ground early or bouncing then into the golf ball. So using the bounce of the golf club, he says, and I actually struck that really well, is going to be tough off a bare lie without a great contact. I actually hit that one, showing off a little bit, I hit that one really well. I can't always guarantee that, unfortunately. I used the bounce of the golf club, but I actually hit that great. It just relies on that contact point being perfect. What often happens from that position is, as I said, someone hits the ground first, and because it's a firm, hard highlight, they bounce into the golf ball. So if you were off a firmer lie, hard, compact ground condition, everybody's walked there, or it's just starting to get quite dry and burnt out in the summer months, I would look at trying to guaranteeing strike with a pitch shot by adding in just a little bit more wrist hinge here in the backswing. and you're going to feel like you hold that angle. I called it the hinge because that's a Mickelson term, actually, the hinge and hold. Well, that's the wrist hinging. This is the wrist cocking up and down. So there's a little bit of both there in the backswing, but a little bit more wrist set and hold the angle. And that's taking some loft off the golf club, but it's also meaning I'm going in with the leading edge. And I'd only do this from a firmer, tighter lie. What would you expect? It's definitely going to fly a little bit lower. So it's going to come out that little bit lower, but it could have that spin that we really want to be able to then check and stop the golf ball. So we tend to hit that lower one, but sort of check, check, bounce from that harder, firmer lie if we strike it okay. What we've got to ensure is that we set our wrists and we feel like we hold that angle a little bit more. Now, of course, for anyone saying, well, you don't hold the angle completely, of course, you know, if I kept holding it, I'd miss the golf ball. But there is less of a release of the wrists down into the impact zone. I'm not returning with my hands level, I'm returning with my handle slightly forwards, hence why I'm de-lofting it. So I'd use a lower bounce wedge if you can, with as much loft as you can. And this is where your lob wedges can really save you. So a lob wedge is great if you can. We're going to feel like we set the wrists and hold the angle a little bit more. Now, what we've got to make sure once we set that wrist is that we keep our body rotating. Where our hands tend to break down is if our body stops. So if my body stops and stalls, the club tends to catch up, or we end up just leaning back away from the target. So we've just got to really make sure that we set our wrists and then we keep our body rotating through the shot. So set the angle, keep our body rotating, and then we're starting to get that club just a little bit tighter down to the ground. So I'm going to just try and land this by the back pin, so it's going to go a little bit off the green. So set the wrists, turn the body. And that strike was perfect there, really pinched the ball first. So ball turf strike from that wrist set, body turning. So we got the ball first. Let me hit one more of those. So set the wrists, turn the body. Again, just a perfect pinching strike. You'll see from there that lower flight, but that ball would bounce, bounce, check that little bit more. Now, if you're worried about strike, you could even move that ball just a little bit further back in your stance to help you guaranteeing it. But the key part there from pitching from a firm lie would be set the wrists and then keep your body rotating. So we don't have that stall of body where we're actually throwing the club through the impact zone. I know if you can, it's a very specific video, this one. It's just pitching from bare lie, so don't think about this as all shots and all lies around the green. Just when you're starting to get that firmer ground condition, these couple of adaptations to your setup and your swing are really going to help. As I mentioned at the start, if you do find the video useful, hit the thumbs up, share it with as many golfers as you can, and please subscribe to my channel.